Hey guys, it's Mons and More. Today we are going to be doing another fun auto video. It is going to be all about 10 cars that I should like but don't. This is going to be kind of like another take on a video that was just recently done. A lot of cool, fun cars in here, and just kind of be figuring out why are these cars even on this list. Well, I will touch base on that. Now, typically, just to understand, the cars that I generally do like are cars that the two things I'm always going to look at is the design and the style of the vehicle and the performance. Those are always going to be the first two things that I always go to look at. Once you get past that, I'll generally go and kind of look further detailed into the vehicle and kind of go from there. But that's just basically the basic premise of the starting point. All right, so let's just jump on right in here. I got everything broken down over here on my tablet, so we're gonna go through. Right off the bat, number 10 is going to be the Dodge Challenger. All right. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen my previous episode when I did Dodge, but I picked them apart. And the Challenger was the biggest part of it. Now, initially, the car itself, just looking at it, it's a very large, boxy, bulky, heavy looking car. So right off the bat, the appeal, it's not there for me. That's pretty much the main thing on there. The performance is there, but again, it's just the same performance that they do on the Charger. It's nothing really different. But the annoying factor is the fact that they offer like 10, 12, 13 different models. And it's just a lot to take in for no reason. I still to this day don't understand why they have that many models. So that's basically number 10, straight to the point, relatively easy. Like I said, it's a bulky car. You know, unless you're someone who is a car person and has the money to put in with the custom wide body kits and the rims, and then you can really transform it to look into something really nice. That's a little bit different. Then you're getting more in terms of someone's custom car. But in terms of taking the car as is for what it is, yeah, it's not an attractive or appealing car to me at all. So that would be the Dodge Challenger. Number 9 on here, we have a competitor, which is the Chevy Camaro. Now the Chevy Camaro isn't as much of as an offender. It is a little bit. I'm not going to say boxy because it's not nearly as bad as the Challenger, but it does have its ridge points. It's not too bad. It still looks good. For me, this was pure experience. It's sitting inside the vehicle. The visibility is the main thing. Now, the direct experience I had with the vehicle was my very first time back out in Vegas. I want to say it was February of 2014. Went out, rented a Camaro. It was awesome. Driving up and down the strip. You get caught at those lights, you can't see anything. They don't. The windows are completely, chopped like the old, 30s, 40s, and maybe 50s hot rods used to be. And then you have the pillars in the front and back corners. They're inside, and again, I'm a bigger guy. Or so, even if you get someone who's a younger driver who's not very experienced, it can be difficult. But for me, it was just the lack of the visibility on the inside, which made it tough. Again, not as bad as the Challenger, but that's pretty much the only reason. It's just a visibility thing for me. Number 8, this breaks my heart. I really didn't want to have this car on here because I am a fan of the brand, but it is what it is. You got to hit them in all directions. It's the Infiniti QX50. All right. Now the Infiniti QX50, you have to know what the brand was as well as what it is now. What the brand used to be, okay, is you had the EX35/EX37, and then above that you had the FX35/the FX37. Okay, they went through. And they rebranded all of the vehicles. So now like the SUVs are QXs, the cars are Qs. That happened because there was a high up exec in Audi that came over to Infiniti, and one of the first things he wanted to do was completely rebrand the entire lineup. So they did the rebranding in the lineup, but they changed the packaging. The cars got more expensive. A lot of things changed. Okay, forget all that. So point being, rush ahead. They came out with a vehicle so they got rid of the FX and they kept around the EX37 for a little bit, for an extended period. Below that, you had a vehicle which was the QX30. It was a small, subcompact hatchback. It was definitely smaller than the EX/QX. I'm sorry, I'm used to the old names of those Infinitis. So that was a small vehicle, despite being an SUV, but the QX30 was much, much smaller and more compact. So they said, all right, we're going to come out with another one. The QX50, which would be bigger than that new subcompact hatchback, was going to be bigger. But that was originally said to be a replacement for the FX, which had been renamed the QX70, that had gone away. And it actually wasn't. They got rid of the EX37. The QX50 replaced that vehicle. And now they have a new vehicle which is going to be called a QX55, which I'm not a fan of just because of you have a lot of the Europeans that have these SUVs with these sloped backs, like the X4, the X6, where they're kind of got like SUVs with a fastback look. And I'm not a fan of that niche market. It makes no sense. But what this vehicle now originally was supposed to be is not at all in that. The lineup completely changed. They're trying to shuffle things around to match the market. And on the SUV side, they haven't managed the lineup very well. So that's why that's there for me. It's a good-looking vehicle, but like I said, it's just they've mismanaged the lineup. It is what it is. So going to number 7, I have no explanation for this. I thought long and hard about this. It's a good-looking vehicle, sort of. There are moments I look at it, I say, yeah, it's nice, and there are other moments I look at it and I'm like, ew. It's the Lexus RC, which that's their coupe. I can't explain it. Like I said, there are moments I look at the car and I say, hey, that's a good-looking car. And then there are other moments where I get different angles and I look at it and I'm like, no, it's not appealing. The performance there, it's not that bad. This is just... The car's just, it's a question mark for me. It's kind of like in a gray area. But I have more negative feeling on it than I do positive. So it's got to be on this list despite not being very clear. I'm sorry. Okay. Going down, next on here is a former vehicle of mine, different generation, but the vehicle is the Hyundai Veloster. Now I had a Gen 1 Hyundai Veloster. It was a 2015. The car was a lot of fun. It was a transition car, so I got that after. It was a completely different vehicle from what I had previously had in my G, but it met all the needs for kind of what was going on at that point. The car, I had a lot of fun with it, but with the current Hyundai Veloster, whether you want to say the 18, the 19, the current 20, whether it's the regular model or the N line, it's got a little bit more of an edged, squarish design to it, and it's nothing much, but for me, it's just enough. And it's I'm not a fan of it. The first one, I think the design on that was amazing. It was perfect. It was different. Now, obviously, I understand as as time goes by, once you get into the next version of that vehicle, you have to change it and tweak it. But in this sense, on that vehicle, I wouldn't be interested in going into that model just on the basis of, like I said, the design itself. I don't care about the pricing, the performance. Just based on the design, I would have no interest in looking of getting into another Veloster at this time. Number 5, this is where it is going to start to kind of get critical, and if you know me, this isn't going to be a surprise to you. If you don't know me, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? So this is going to be the first of the big 3. Number 5 is Mercedes-Benz in general. The entire brand, not a specific car, the brand in general. All right. Now, Mercedes-Benzes, do they make nice looking cars? Yes. Yes, they absolutely do. Are they worth it? That's something that anyone can debate. I have a sales background. I did Infiniti, I did Acura, and then I did some extended way back. I did Dodge and I did Chevy for a bit. But so in knowing kind of like how the Japanese vehicles compare to the German vehicles, the German vehicles, the Mercedes, they're overpriced. The packaging isn't too bad. There are features on there that should be standard that you shouldn't necessarily have to kind of pay for. I got some notes on here that they add the add-on. So if you go to the website and you try to build yourself a Mercedes, you pick the model, all right, which engine and which you want, front wheel drive or all wheel drive do you want. But they're not even, from there, they don't try to necessarily focus on getting you your features and how you want the vehicle built. They want you to do the paint. Okay, that's fine. That sounds right. That's about normal. But of usually, I think I did the CLA on there, and they have 10 paint options. Only 2 of them are no charge, and 8, the other 8 plus whatever, all are what? They're all around like $800 to $1,000 per color. So they're nickel and dime you basically for paint, unless you get your plain white or your plain black. They upgrade you for rims. Now there's basic rims, but they offer 5 or 6 different rim options. They upgrade you for, they may have a leatherette and upgrade you to a leather, but even if you get the leather, they're gonna, try to up you on an upgraded leather. It's just they kind of nickel and dime, and I don't think that's how luxury cars should be. Again, that's just me from being in a Acura or an Infiniti standpoint, how the Japanese come well packaged versus the German cars. Number 4, I'm picking apart another one of the big 3. This is probably going to be the most critical one, but it's not the high one, is Audi. Now, Audi's probably the worst offender, though. Okay, the biggest thing about Audi is they're super, super underpowered. All right, you figure a basic Audi A4, right? That's pretty much your entry level car right there that most people are going to focus on. Starts at as a base price of $37,000 base price. So before you're factoring in any packages or anything like that, and it comes standard with 188 horsepower. That's $15,000 more than a Toyota Camry, and a Toyota Camry has like 15 to 20 more horsepower. You know what I mean? So, you're talking about $37,000 for 188 horsepower. And here's the other part too, is you can look at Volkswagens and you can look at Audis. If you take off the badging, it's not that easy to tell which is which. They look almost the same. The lines are almost the same. You know what I mean? So if you put a Camry, if you put a Toyota next to a Lexus, they don't look remotely the same at all. You can tell which one's a Toyota and which one's a Lexus. A Volkswagen and an Audi, they look exterior wise, they have almost the same shell. There's really not much of a difference there. Now, like I said, they're underpowered. the body. Like I said, in regards to being basic, they do, being a German brand, they do a lot of the nickel and diming. They've cut back on it. They're much better than they used to be, but they still do a lot of the, you have to do the add-ons, which again, I think it's unnecessary for certain things that should be standard, which causes to kind of bulk up the price. So that would be Audi at number 4. Number 3, I'm probably going to take heat for this one, but it is what it is. It's the truth. The Honda Civic. I'm not just talking about the regular Civic, whether it be the sedan, the coupe, the hatchback. Yes, I'm talking about those, but I'm also talking about the Civic Si and the Civic Type R. If you want to pause it and walk away and have a freak out for a minute, because yes, I'm really saying that. I don't care that the Type R has 320, 330 horsepower. The cars are ugly. They look like wedges of cheese. They look like they're kind of spacey. The design on the Civics, you could even say Hondas, but specifically the Civics, have been bad for a long time. A long time. Now, I understand, keep in mind, I'm talking about the current Civic. I'm not talking about the next generation Honda Civic, which is, I think, due to come out either later this year or the beginning of next year. I'm not talking about that. That's a car that's not on the market at this point, okay? But the current Civic, they're not good-looking cars at all. When you look at a coupe and a hatchback, you can't really tell much of the difference. The fronts are shaped weird. The back, you have those black plastic panels that are in the corners. There's just nothing about the car that I find remotely appealing. And even you could kind of stretch over to another vehicle, and again, it's not on here, but the Honda Accord. The Honda Accord Sport's a nice one, but the other ones are not. But yeah, the Honda Civic itself is not a pretty car. Number 2, I said there were 3 on here. I already said 2 of them, and here's the third one. The BMW brand, again, in general, not a specific car. Okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, how can you say that? The BMW is the ultimate driving machine. I've never experienced the BMW that's been an ultimate driving machine. Again, they've upped their power. There were points when they were kind of underpowered, and they had that same issue that Audi has. So they're basically the same playing ground in terms of Mercedes, where their standard power is good. But I just don't like the fact that they are the worst offender of the nickel and diming. The BMWs, like I said, they make good cars. I just don't like, they are the worst offender when it comes to overpricing. And if you go through, and again, same thing, you go on the website, you build the car, they are so bad at nickel and diming for everything. The universal garage door opener, the lumbar support in your power seat, they charge you for that. The remote for your the remote keyless entry, they charge you for that. When you're talking about being at the point of a, $40, $45, $50,000 luxury vehicle, like, that's simple stuff. That shouldn't even be a question. That should already be in there. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, how are we even going to discuss that? So again, it's the sales background aspect that I don't like. That's where I'm coming from. And then number 1 is probably going to be another big one that a lot of people aren't going to expect this. The Toyota Supra. Now, the Toyota Supra, it's a beautiful car. This is completely different reasoning. It's a beautiful car. The design is good. You can see that, yes, they did try to modernize the vehicle from the 90s design of when the vehicle went out in, what was it, 96, 98, I think it may have been. And they did a good job of that. The performance of the vehicle, okay, you've got 2 performance options. I believe it's 255 on the standard vehicle, which is the 2.0, and then you can upgrade to, which is a 382 if you upgrade to the 3.0. So the performance is there, the styling is there. Here's the problem. The car design itself. Now you're gonna say, well, what do you mean the design? You just said the design was good, the performance was, was good, that you liked it, and I did, and I do. Here's what you have to understand, though. I'm a bigger guy, right? So, again, I'm not the only person who buys cars. There's everybody that's out there. Pause the video and go look. After you're done watching the video, go look. Go to Toyota.com and look at the 86. Okay, now the 86, it's a small car. All right, in terms of the interior dimensions. All right, and the overall dimensions, and it's only got about 205 horsepower. Nothing crazy, right? But take that and compare it and pull up the Supra. It doesn't matter if it's a 2030, but just compare it. If you compare the interior dimensions of the 86 to the Supra, they're almost the exact same car. They're almost the exact same car. The only dimensions that are different is the trunk on the Supra is like 3.2 cubic feet bigger than what the 86 has. Other than that, the interiors, front and back, or should I say mainly on the front, obviously. The interiors for the 86 and the Supra is almost the same. So now the question is, why are you paying, what, $15,000, $18,000 more for the Supra? That's like, there's no justification there. Because you figure that the base one, which starts at $44,000, that's 255 horsepower. So that $15,000 to $18,000 price point, which you're paying more for 50 horsepower and the Supra name over the 86 and a better designed, better looking car, there's no justification there. So that's my reason with the Supra being number one on this list, just because the car has a big flaw design in terms of what it is versus what its own another vehicle and its own stable offers. That's where I'm at with it. I hope you found this kind of interesting. All right. If you have any thoughts, comments, cars that you personally don't like but you think that you should, put it on the notes in the comments. I'd be curious to see what they are, have that discussion with you. All right, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe if you like what you saw. Talk to you soon.